Well, I can't do that.
Ugh.
Why don't my cheeks do that?
Smack.
Oh.
It's time for Bourbon with Friends, the bourbon podcast that never takes itself too seriously. Pull up a chair, grab a glass, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Here we go.
Well, I can't do that.
Ugh.
Why don't my cheeks do that?
Smack.
Oh.
That's going to be a
Trying
great
to-
intro
trying to
right
turn
there.
it on.
Martin and Adrian
Trying
smacking
to-
their cheeks.
Well,
Just
Joe, you
trying
got
to
your
turn it
intro.
on. Trying to turn it on. I'm trying to get hyped up.
Get hyped up. Get
I
hyped.
think I'm ready now.
Go.
Little sip of
You
dry
seen
whiskey
this.
there.
I thought you were gonna.
There we
do it.
go. Yeah, no. Hey, everybody, welcome to Bourbon with Friends. Myself, Adrian, and Martin are here to talk about whiskeys from around the world and how a bourbon with friends can change a world. How are you guys doing? How was your weekend?
You know, it wasn't too bad, my friend. But we, more importantly, Adrian's back. She is.
Back.
She's drinking once again. Dry January is over, and you made it the whole time. So I think that deserves a fucking cheers, man.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's
it
really.
does.
I mean, genuinely, that's a. You know, and I know that you said you felt great, right? Like it was. But does it?
It was very good for me. Yes, I enjoyed it very much.
What was your very first drink?
that Glen Goyne?
Oh, you had the Glen. Oh, that was your first one.
Yeah, you guys told me to do ASMs
Yeah.
first. So that's what I did.
So you
Well,
went with a scotch.
I did a scotch, but it's still single malt. Same difference to me.
Oh, you're gonna have some people up in arms in the comments.
I know.
The fuck you mean scotch? No, it is. You're in theory. No, technically you are correct. It is a single malt. It just obviously scotch is Scotland. But no, I like that you like
It
that
was very
Glen Goyne.
good. I enjoyed that. It was
Yeah,
good. I just
a good
would
one.
say that I would, if I was gonna drink single malts, I just want to stay in that world because I think those linger and they stay. So if you drink anything else after that, it doesn't taste the same.
Yeah, they are. They're and they're one of my favorites. That's actually the Glen Goyne Distillery. Is an interesting thing about them is that the distillery they're along the A82 in Scotland, just north of Glasgow, and the distillery is in the Highlands technically. But if you cross the street to where their dunnage warehouses are, you're actually in the lowlands. So they actually age in the lowlands, distilled in the Highlands. So it's a very strange little thing. It's a great little, cute little distillery that's out there off the A82. It's right about 15 minutes from where my aunt is. So
look at that. You're talking about the highs and lows of life right there.
Exactly. But that's awesome that you like that. It was the 10-year, right? That you had?
Yes.
Was it?
I think Jerem sent me a picture of what I drank. It was, yes, the 10-year.
10-year? Nice, yeah. I'll have to I've got the 18 and I haven't brought it to any hangouts, so I'll have to bring that 18 because that's a really good one.
Okay.
That's a really good one.
That's a really good one. I've loved that bottle. And it's an old bottling too. It's from before they changed the label. So yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, you know what? Hey Adrian, hey Brian. Get Bendt.
Okay. Thanks.
Go fuck your guys self. No, the reason why I said that today is because we have the honor of hanging out with Raleigh and Jacob of Bendt Distilling. What's going on, guys? I was waiting to just say that to them this whole fucking time.
That doesn't surprise me.
It just worked. What's going on, guys?
Let's get a
Closing
Jimmy
the bay door over
bottle
here.
thing.
Perfect timing.
It's beautiful. It's
Okay, now I think we're good.
no, you're good.
Okay.
You're in a
It is what it
distillery.
is.
It's happening. All things are happening.
Happens. We roll with it.
Oh yeah, we can hear now.
Super glad to be here. Thanks for having us, guys. But
Absolutely.
yeah, get Bendt. We have heard it once or twice. We use it
I
quite
figured.
frequently.
Yeah, it's like whenever someone meets me and they're like, "Oh, did you ever watch the TV show Martin?" I'm like, "No, I've never heard of it. My entire life, I never had that yelled at me
Not
at all.
once.
Yeah, not once. Never happened."
No, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well,
I
absolutely.
love
Thanks
it when
for-
people tell me my hashtag should be get Bendt. And I'm like, well, you clearly haven't looked at our Instagram before.
I know, right?
So-
Seen our bumper stickers,
No.
shirts, or any of
No,
it.
we didn't think about that one.
I
We
know.
sure
Not,
did.
not once during the marketing phase did we ever think about anything.
We'll write it down. We'll write
Light
it down.
bulb.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can say a positive thing about your products is you're not getting bent over with pricing. So it's a very
There you go.
positive thing. So it's
Okay.
actually reasonably priced.
Okay.
I haven't used that one before, but I think I will.
Well, I'm
Thank you.
gonna be
Wow.
I'm gonna TM that right now. It's gonna be my trademark. So
I'm glad we.
yeah.
We owe you.
We do like to say affordable and approachable.
There you
Yeah,
go.
there we go.
Yeah. I'm glad we hit the puns this early in the interview.
Yeah, get it right out of the gate.
Get them out of the way quick.
Only uphill from here. All right.
Well,
Adrian,
guys,
let's do this.
what we like to do and start out is just have you introduce yourselves, give us a little bit of background of your time with the distillery and kind of how you got started and anything else that you might want to share. So I don't, whoever wants to take the lead.
Seniority.
Yeah, I'll start. I'm Jacob Peraza. I'm head distiller here at Bendt. I started back in 2016. So back in the Witherspoon days, before we rebranded as Bendt, which we'll get to that a little later, I'm sure. But yeah, I started here back in the day when we were running just 2 10-barrel stills, 2 300-gallon stills. Now we're running a 2,100-gallon still. So our output is significantly higher, wider range of distillates we put out here. So yeah, I've seen it change quite a bit in my time here. So.
Yeah.
And I'm Raleigh Hughes. I am the sales guy. I've been here since March 2020. I like to say I started 11 days or about 7 days before the world basically did.
Yeah.
I started on a Wednesday, and then the following Wednesday I was bottling sanitizer in front of a Gatorade jug.
There you go.
So yeah, I've seen it all through the progression of the last 5 years. So it has been fun. Yes, I have the picture of the Gatorade jug. I'm
We
not
probably
joking.
still have the jug.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
It was a Gatorade jug. Like one of the.
So you're
ones-
nostalgic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We don't use it for Gatorade anymore, but we
I will
still.
never forget the smell of that sanitizer.
And I actually remember because I lived in Deep Ellum, Dallas, like right when the pandemic hit. I was living in Texas throughout that whole thing, and I remember all the distilleries around Texas in general were just that's like they were just posting on their social media, and that's what they were doing, is just doing hand sanitizer. So I was like, that's pretty cool. I kind of wanted to get like one from each distillery.
Don't worry, we still have some in storage. I'll send you one.
He's like, we have
It's
a
on
whole
me.
bunch.
It's on me.
Nice,
Yeah, I'll send you a case.
Nice. I did
I'll
get
trade
it
you.
from. Who did I get it from?
Yeah.
I got it
think
from
I
Buck
backed 1
Honus.
through
That's who I
7.
got it from. Yeah.
Oh
I
man,
got some.
you got the vertical.
I have batch 1 through 7 if you want. They give
The
it
hand
different,
sanitizer
even different
vertical.
bottles depending on what we could get at the time. So give it
Oh,
different
yeah.
squeeze bottles.
Nice.
But no, we
Thanks
didn't
for
want to
the-
be for sanitizer.
No, definitely. Well, you actually, Jacob, you kind of hinted on this, and this was going to be our next question too. Talk to us a little bit about that transition, because I was familiar with you guys, and I didn't, at the time, obviously, was when it was Witherspoon. Talk a little bit about that transition from Witherspoon to what you guys are obviously known now as a Bendt.
Yeah, definitely. So OG Witherspoon before me, they started at a storage warehouse here in Louisville still, but probably half a mile away. Very small space. They were mostly doing rum. We still have the original still that they use. The original stripping still is kind of like a museum piece in the front hallway, but we still use the original finishing still for R&D projects pretty frequently. When, 2015, they moved to this building, which you can see the sign in the back, Old Piggly Wiggly grocery store. We don't have the pig head, but we still have the sign, and we got it illuminated, so that's our pride and joy. But yeah, we've been in this building itself for almost 10 years now. And with this building, we got the 2 hybrid pot stills. They're Global Stainless, I think, is who manufactured them. So they're no bells and whistles. They make decent whiskey. The big problem I see with them for the way we make whiskey now is they have no agitators, and they have a steam coil inside. So there's a lot of scorching on those when it comes to, distilling on the grain. So The new still, I guess I'm kind of getting ahead of myself there.
No,
We were
no.
also limited in the fact that, we only had two 300-gallon stills, so 600 gallons of distillation capacity at any one time. So we would have to run AM and PM shifts to try to really facilitate moving stills that quickly. Versus now, again, our 2,100-gallon still, plenty of agitation. We can get a 2,000-gallon strip done in less than 12 hours, about 12 hours.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
we're
we've
definitely
scaled up tremendously since the Witherspoon days.
Yeah, well, yeah. Obviously, it sounds like that. That's kind of cool too. And we're definitely going to get nerdy and start to ask you more questions about that still because
Cool.
we like copper stills around here.
Yeah, we
and-
might be able to go see it if we have enough
I don't know if
extension
we have
cord
enough
range.
fluid to
Sweet.
do that.
Nice, awesome.
But yeah, I think we made the full transition to Bendt September 1, 2019.
Nice.
Sounds about
So
right.
date-wise, timing-wise, Ryan, Natasha, and Quentin started the distillery in 2012, 2011. Quentin Witherspoon departed somewhere in the 2017, 2018 range. Rebranded officially September 2019. So
Okay.
right before that COVID period. So
Yeah.
trials and tribulations pretty much right as you're trying to launch a brand into COVID. So yeah, that was kind of the time frame of that switch.
Nice. Well, yeah. I mean, it sounds like good. And like you said, at least you got it in before COVID because I knew some distilleries that didn't make it through COVID. So, I mean, amongst obviously a load of other businesses, but it's good to see that you guys kind of got it in before and then obviously persevered through it. So because that was tough. It was a tough time for everybody, and a lot of good businesses that I frequented in the Metroplex area like don't exist anymore, and it's really sad because I used to frequent so many of them. So it's good to see you guys are going strong. That's awesome.
Deep Ellum Brewery is closed.
Did it really?
Brain Dead, a handful of those.
I knew about Brain Dead. Yeah, I knew about Brain Dead. I used to be there like every weekend. Yeah, I knew about.
Because you are brain dead.
Yeah, it's good beer. It's good beer. They made good beer.
Excellent
Back to the
beer.
puns.
Yeah, they made really good beer.
puns.
Yeah, they made really good. And I liked Deep Ellum Brewery and Deep Ellum Distilling. They made good stuff too. I think his name was John something I knew there.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, no, he was a good dude. I only knew him through like the kind of like the alcohol community, but like
Community.
yeah. And Deep Ellum's nothing like, from what I've heard, it's nothing like it used to be. Like it's a more built up and it's more trendier than it used to be. It used to be when I was there, it was motorcycle places, tattoo shops, and like one barbecue place. So
Yeah.
Music venues.
venues, like the
little different, a little sketchier than it
man.
used to be.
Remember the door? Like that was my
Yeah.
spot. Like, dude,
Yeah,
that was a great venue. That was a great venue.
Yeah, I still go down to Bomb Factory every now and
Factory,
again.
Yep. Yeah, I used to live right across the
still,
street
yeah.
at Adam Hats. That's where I was at. So like
yeah.
that place was like right across the street from Bomb Factory. Yep.
Oh man, yeah, lots of late nights in Deep Ellum.
Yep.
Revisit.
Many.
Mhm.
Good place.
So,
Oh man, in
based
fact,
off-
I think we were there for the Deep Ellum Distilling grand opening. That was a shit show.
Oh,
Did you make it? No, that was
I did.
before your time.
I
Even.
did not.
Yeah. Anyways, I digress. Sorry.
There you go.
No worries. So I have a few questions, and this is kind of interesting, right? So it looks like a couple of your owners were Marines or are Marines technically, right? Yeah, because once Marine, always Marine. But can you explain what their mindset was when they chose to do a distillery and why your location and then whiskey cakes? How do we get them?
Yeah, I think I can speak to that. There's a lot packed in there, so you might have to realign me on the question. So the Marine aspect of it, Quentin and Ryan met early on in the Marines. I don't think they were they didn't actually do anything together. They worked different jobs in the Marines. But they essentially revisited by a mutual love for brewing, at the time beer, and just kind of had this idea at the time, like, hey, what if we turn this into something more? Craft beer kind of having a heyday right now. And again, this is what 2010, 2011. They're talking about this, and they think, hey, craft distilling is probably the next best thing. So we are actually our DSP number is, what is it? 10. 20010, meaning we were the 10th registered distillery in Texas. So they got in really early. It's on some of these barrels around here, DSP license number.
Yeah.
But yeah, that initial thought of like, hey, we've got this shared kind of, degenerate love for alcohol. Like, what if we did something legit with this? So initially, it was Quentin and Natasha. Like, Ryan was around running the books, but it was Quentin and Natasha who were here all the time when I first started. They kind of got the whole, what they call it, river rum at the time, because there was a trademark dispute with an unnamed distillery about Red River rum. We wanted to call it Red River rum. And they didn't even have it on the market yet, but they had a trademark. So we dropped the red and just called it river rum. And, kind of looking back, we're like, what the hell is river rum? Like, what does that even mean? So, we're glad that we've graduated into aged spirits and, local grain and making whiskey for that matter. But let's see. So that's Marines. That's how the hell did we get here? Cakes.
Cakes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The cakes are
Cakes.
fun. So the cakes, like the same thing, started as rum cakes. This is Natasha's family recipe.
Ooh, nice.
Another thing that happened during COVID, they were rum cakes being made at a bakery here in Louisville. The bakery did close. It was a casualty to COVID. So funny story, and I love this story. I came in one day, and I came in the office, and Natasha had bought a an oven, like just a normal oven that you'd buy for like your house, and put it in our break room. There's no ventilation or hooding or anything, and she's got her like apron on, and she's just baking as many cakes as she can in our break room.
For science.
Just because we didn't have a bakery, and she needed to bake these cakes because we do bake them all year round. It's not, people do think they're like a secret Christmas time only thing. They're not. But they're like this bundt cake looking whiskey cake with these like candied pecans on top. We do ship them. You can ship them across the country. I think they're on Amazon now. So we'll find a way to get you guys each one somehow, some way. They are every year for the last 5 years running. I spend a week. Now it's up to 3 weeks. Yeah, funny story. 3 weeks now. This last year, delivering whiskey cakes to all my customers. So
That's awesome.
I load them up in my truck, just drive them around Fresh Place. You would think I'm handing people $100 bills. Like
I was gonna say,
People
I
love
bet that like the smile on people's faces when you show up with that like has to be unmatched.
They don't last like an hour. People are digging like hands, like eating them with their hands. It's ridiculous.
And they'll cut slices that are like a quarter of the cake. I'm like, dude,
It's insane.
you don't know what you're getting into.
My mother made French toast out of them one day. Like there's all kinds of stuff you can make. They're ridiculous. Yes, we'll find a way to get you guys.
That sounds so good. I don't know why it reminded me. Like, you guys ever seen those like interviews with people who have worked with Tom Cruise? Like, apparently Tom Cruise, like if you've worked on him with a movie at the Christmas time, you'll get a cake, and apparently it's like the best cake in the world. And it's just like this whole thing, and people like make a big deal about it, but I don't know why.
Tom Cruise cake.
Yeah, it's like the
I did not know. I did not know.
I am going to look it up
either.
Yeah, look it up, and it's genuinely like I think he like I don't know if he like says where he gets it from or if he makes it. I don't know what it is.
No, it's a single bakery that does it. It's a really good cake. I've had it.
Is it like L. Ron Hubbard approved?
Tom Cruise. You know Tom Cruise?
The Tom Cruise
I don't
cake.
fucking know. It was I was at a party and someone had a Tom Cruise cake when I lived in California. That's all I remember, and I remember it was good.
You must have had a high thetan level for the Scientologists. So you must have gotten in with them, dude. Brian's just partying with like Will Smith.
Someone had money. That's all I know. I was there.
Yeah, I got
Someone
this
had a
secret
lot
Tom
of money.
Cruise cake.
I did not.
Don't tell anyone.
Pretty much.
Right after that, it was a Mormon party. So
Don't think I've been to one of those. My only other question, you guys, would be about your philanthropy side of your company. How does that work?
Meaning, you mean like the sanitizer portion?
Well, do you have any like philanthropy that you're involved in? Like,
I think the one to ask about that's probably Natasha, because since we're a woman-owned distillery, I know she works with the several like women in whiskey organizations.
Yeah, we are considered
cool, yeah.
we are considered female-owned, being the 51% or more owned portion. Natasha, she's one of, I believe, 3 in Texas, so obviously does as much for that community. I don't think necessarily I could pinpoint anything philanthropic that we kind of like hang our hat on.
Yeah.
We're for profit. We're trying to turn a profit over here. So
that's kind of what
we're still in that money making trying operation as we all
literally are. I was going to say it would really take like being having money to give away. Like
there we go.
I would
That's what I was
love
trying
to
to
give
get to.
away, but unfortunately,
I understand
right now,
that.
we spend a lot of our money just making whiskey.
Yeah, but women in whiskey, that's her thing.
And what I would say too is, I mean, more so because, I'm so disconnected from that being in the back of house. I spend money, like I don't donate money, buying grain and barrels and all that. Really what we try to emphasize back of house is just community engagement, staying involved with local farmers. I'd say, man, 3/4 of our grain come from within 20 miles of the distillery, and 100% of our spent grain goes back to a local cattle farmer here in Justin. So we're able to just really keep our kind of local agriculture, keep it local, keep it all within the food cycle and regenerative as possible. He mentioned, or I guess we both kind of mentioned the solar panels earlier. So again, that's kind of where I speak from, again, trying to be more efficient and cost effective and kind of, give back in that way by being less wasteful with, because let's face it, distilling is, we use a lot of resources, whether it's steam boiler, the water, anywhere we can cut back and be less wasteful. We sour mash, so I don't know any other Texas distilleries that sour mash. I'm sure all my buddies who hear this are going to text me in minutes and be like, why didn't you throw me in there? I sour mash, but we are able to reclaim a lot of our spent backset to acid balance our bourbon brewing. So we don't have to add citric acid or anything exogenous. We're essentially reclaiming some trash and and putting it to good use and keeping a consistent house flavor, less junk going down the pipes for the waste management, the water treatment plant to handle, because they certainly know when we process grain and when we're not saving our sour mash. Yeah. They're certainly like, oh, I guess Bendt's brewing today, huh?
Yeah. I don't think I think you're right. I can't think of anybody else in Texas that does do sour mash. I mean, still Austin would maybe be the only one that would maybe do it.
They don't. No, I asked them. I talked to Emiliano, and they've tinkered with it, but they don't. I even asked. I'm on Reddit. I'm not on very many social media things, but I asked on Reddit. I'm like, because I often say that. I'm like, we're the only distillery in Texas sour mashing, and I'm waiting for someone to be like, fuck you, dude, we sour mash.
I'm trying to think. I can't. I know Ironroot doesn't. I know Balcones doesn't. I know Andalusia doesn't. So I'm like, I can't think of anybody that does it. That's like, unless they're like a smaller one that I'm not like aware of or something like that, or like they're waiting to put stuff out or something like that. I can't think of any.
Exactly.
You might be right.
I wasn't even trying to brag about it initially. I was trying to like talk to people and be like, hey, how are you guys doing it compared to how we're doing it? And everybody's like, we're not. So, and I know part of it is,
No, I said I believe the only one I can think of is Big Texas that did it for a little bit, as well as still Austin. So there's the only two.
Texas Giant. Julian said they do both. He said they do sour mash occasionally.
Such a large operation.
Exactly.
Sure
Occasionally.
That's a beast in its own. So we went down there last 2 Octobers ago to see it, and it's a different. It's a different animal.
Hardly feels
when you
like
have a lot of money,
when we just put in 2 4,000-gallon fermenters, and they just put in 6 40,000-gallon fermenters at the time. So
that's not a lot.
Yeah.
And then they had bought the Lagunitas fermenters, beer fermenters, from auction when we were there.
Yeah.
And they were they looked like buildings. I thought they were built. No, fucking fermenter silo.
Yeah, they bought these
Insanity.
fermenters and then built a building around them. That's how big they were. They like couldn't
Yeah.
put them in a building. They built a building around them. So
Yeah, those were big. I've been to Lagunitas before, and yeah, they're fucking huge.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, I guess since we're talking about whiskey, we should talk about whiskey, right? So I know that Brian behind Adrian, mine are on the way behind there on the shelf. But
Yeah.
they have the bottles that you guys very graciously sent us. Thank you guys so much for that.
Mhm. I'm glad
And
round
I
2
know
made it to you.
yeah, I know. I was like tracking it, and I was like, and I
Yeah.
saw, I'm like, what happened? But it happens sometimes. Obviously, sometimes they're not very careful with things, and they those UPS people, man, they're rough. So they're rough sometimes. That's happened before, but no, I appreciate you guys resending that as well. So I know Brian or Adrian, if you kind of want to talk about each one that we're looking at right here. I'm gonna go grab it while you guys are doing that because I was not prepared.
Okay.
Shocker.
Funny
Wait,
enough, the
no.
cheapest one was the one that broke. So I was
Yeah,
kind of
that's
happy.
always
I was
nice.
kind of happy that Bendt 5 was the one that broke.
Perfect.
But
Do you
the
guys-
most affordable one broke.
Do you guys have anything specific poured right now?
Bendt. That's what I'm going. The number 5.
The number 5. I have that poured, and I have the rye poured. I don't know if.
Yeah,
what
I did
Martin
the
would have
number
grabbed.
5 and I did the malt.
I have the malt poured.
Okay. So you guys sent us over the straight bourbon,
Which
the
one are we doing?
straight malt whiskey. I want to make sure I'm getting this right. The rye, and then your 5 blend.
Yeah.
I know you guys have so many more across the board, right? From it looks like a wheated whiskey, and then something else we can talk about at the end of the show that
Sure.
I know I'm curious on learning. But then you have an old fashioned, a bourbon cream, looks like a tequila, but a Texas tequila, and then a few other
Yeah.
things that you guys are making, right? Gin and
Yeah. So, yeah, when we rebranded, and I'll hop in here and you can hop in after me on this. When we rebranded, Bendt 5 is what we launched with. Bendt 5 is our blend of 5 whiskeys. That 5 is not for 5 years, it's for 5 whiskeys. Straight bourbon, straight rye, straight wheat, and straight malt whiskey. Straight meaning that the straight malt is predominantly malt in the grain. It's not going to be a single malt, 60 malt, 40 wheat mash bill. Same with the grain build on the wheat. It is going to be a 60 wheat, 30 corn, 10% malted barley mash bill on that. So we were making all of these whiskeys, and Natasha saw a gap in the market of blended whiskey being this junk kind of dirty word in the market, which I think it still has a negative connotation.
It does. Yeah.
Sure, it does. And we all know that.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm just going to point this out. The Penelope release or teased today their cigar blend that
I
has
saw
light
that.
whiskey, American single malt, and bourbon in it. So very cool that came out today to kind of shed some light on light whiskey. But yeah, so
Some light on light
some
whiskey.
light on light
Well,
whiskey.
I see what you did
Pun
there. I'm not
intended
going to
there.
let that go. Yeah.
But yeah, so release this really to be your kind of introductory whiskey, your affordable, approachable whiskey. And we're very not shy about knowing what this whiskey is. It's not your whiskey geek whiskey. This is your mix it with Coke, mix it with ginger ale kind of whiskey. Sip it by the pool. This is your
When you have company over and you don't want them to grab your good bottles, like the sought after, hard to find ones, put the Bendt out. Everybody's happy.
So yeah, that's really kind of the story behind what Bendt 5 is. The light whiskey is basically in place of what G&S does for a lot of blended whiskeys. There's another big blended whiskey here in Texas. See, it's got the big T and the big X on it. And it is 60% neutral grain spirit. So we're not using any neutral grain spirit. In fact, our light whiskey, all of these whiskeys going in here are going to be upwards of 3 years old now. So we're putting out pretty well-aged juice too. So, and all of them are good by themselves, which lends into what the unbent line is. So making all 5 of those whiskeys, you have 3 of them in front of you. So that is what creates the unbent line. We have 4 of them currently out on the market. The light whiskey, we believe, will be the next one. The Old Fashioned is the only remaining SKU from the Witherspoon days. It is our pre-made Old Fashioned. It sells like gangbusters in retail here in Texas. It is, if you've had a Bullet Old Fashioned or a On the Rocks Old Fashioned, not that. It tastes phenomenal. We just bottled some. We've been bottling some. I think we're putting like 3 or 4-year-old bourbon into it. It's delicious. So we're really not cutting any corners on that one. The bourbon cream, kind of self-explanatory. Bourbon, sweet dairy cream, brown sugar. Again, extremely delicious. So that one's widely mass market. Where it's not an LTO for us. In fact, we think that one's one that we can pump up pretty big in scale. So. And then the agave spirit, we have a whole line. We have a bar out here, which is where we were gonna film, but we think this background's cooler.
It was cooler.
The agave, we have a whole line of gins, rums, agaves, brandies, anything that we can and make for the bar. We have to make. So you can come to the bar, get a vodka tonic, Bloody Mary, a gin, a Ramos. No, you're not gonna get a gin fizz here. Sorry, guys. I spoke too soon on that one. Gin and tonic, a margarita. You can get all kinds of stuff here. So, but to be a tasting hall here in Texas, we have to distill everything. So we do have a whole of full LTO stuff, but those are going to be distillery. So that is the lineup in a nutshell. So
nice. Well, I got the bourbon, and also as nostalgic as I get with bottles. And I love a good cork. More distilleries need to do this.
Amen. Man.
It's so funny too, because I get mixed reviews on it, but in Texas, it's just we have so much temperature change that's like the one way we can guarantee a bottle in a warehouse, hot or cold, is going to stay sealed. Screw time.
Yeah, and I've only recently had. I mean, I went years, and I've owned a lot of whiskey over my time. And it really wasn't until the last year that I have probably broken more corks than I ever had. Obviously, some of my whiskey's getting older. You know, some of it's been sitting there for 4 or 5 years.
You're just pulling too vigorously.
I do pull vigorously a lot.
He does all the time. I'm not saying on what, but he pulls vigorously.
I do sometimes just yank things too hard. But no.
Don't we?
Yeah, don't we all? But no, I, honestly, like to me, like, and I get it. I think there's obviously the nostalgic. There's like the tradition of having corks, and synthetic corks are a good option too. But I've had a few where even they separate from the cork from the cap on the synthetic one. So to me, twist completely fine, and I think that's a great move too for you guys because of being in Texas, and as we all see what the Texas weather can do to barrels and what it can do to things in general. Yeah. So it's very cool that you guys did that. But no, I'm enjoying the hell out of this. I have the I know a lot of us, at least in our group, we've been really attached to rye lately, so that's going to be my next one that I'm going to pour here in a second. I've been loving.
So Martin has bourbon, Adrian has rye, and Brian has malts. We all.
I also have the number 5 poured, but this has a very much a dill, like a dill on the nose.
Jacob, I want Jacob to talk about the rye because I think the rye is what I think is going to be our standout from the crowd. At least the 4 right now. I think the rye is probably the least like traditional spirit up here in our lineup. Normally, when you see rye whiskey, it's like 80 to 90% of the grain bill is rye, bare minimum malted barley just to get conversion and for processing purposes mostly is why they do that. I think for us, for our rye, we flip that notion on its head. We use the bare minimum rye to still be able to call it a rye whiskey. Yeah. And we're able to do that because the rye we grow here in Texas is so freaking pungent. It's just so flavorful, so bold. I can really only attribute it to harsh growing conditions, kind of the soil here in North Texas. Yeah. This one. So yeah, we're able to use significantly less rye in the grain bill to achieve still the typical rye flavor you'd expect out of a rye whiskey.
Beyond that, we've got triticale, which is a wheat and rye hybrid, so it's kind of cheating in my rye proportions. Even we were talking about Texas Giant. Julian swears by, he's like, I don't use triticale. I use 50% wheat, 50% rye. It's the same shit. I'm like, it's different. I swear by triticale.
Different.
I like it. I like what it does to the mouthfeel. English pale malt is the other grain you'll see in there. And that's 20%, I think. I keep flipping these
19.
I asked him to remind me because I only remember the grain bills that are current. But yeah, it's about 20%.
Yeah, 27, 19, and 3.
Yeah, and then the last little bit. So yeah, we've got rye, we've got triticale, we've got English pale malt, and then the last little bit is malted oats. So you almost never see malted oats in a whiskey. I only saw it in beer. I come from the beer side of things, so I'd see it in oatmeal stouts typically. But yeah, just that little bit, that 2.5–3% of malted oats stands out insanely. Yeah, so. You still get kind of that fresh green kind of vegetal, flavor profile you'd expect off a rye. You still get that kind of late back palate burn that you expect off a rye, but you get such a breadth of, kind of mid palate complex flavors. I pick up a lot of almost like oatmeal cookie or something like that, oatmeal raisin cookie kind of mid palate. Again, I get a lot of that kind of dill, that vegetal green up front.
I've never used a color to describe a whiskey before, but I've used green so many times.
Synesthesia or whatever.
It's just odd.
Wait, did you just say anesthesia?
No, synesthesia.
Okay, I was like, we're not putting propofol in the fucking whiskey.
No,
drink it.
No, that's later.
We're all drooling like 5 minutes.
Okay.
They stopped talking in the podcast about 20 minutes in.
They all just fell
I
asleep.
gotta have surgery again, but Jesus.
No, it's to me, it's a very kind of, and it's cool to know that you guys are doing the oats on that. There aren't many distilleries to do that.
And 4-grain rye too.
I
think super unique. I struggle to find any for the most part.
You see 4-grain bourbon
fairly
often,
quite a bit, but 4-grain rye.
And the triticale, I've only ever seen that in, I think there was a bottle that Laws from Denver, they put one out with that rye, and it was really interesting. And it didn't last long, and I think they only put it out as a specialty release 1 year, because I haven't seen it on the shelves since.
So 21.
Yeah, they replaced it with something else. They replaced it with.
It's just a lesser known grain too. So I mean, a lot
of
farmers don't know about it. I shouldn't say that. I should say a
lot of farmers know about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's I bit my tongue right away. I'm like, the farmers are going to be. You think we don't fucking know about it? You guys aren't going to buy it. That's why we don't grow it.
We do have another distillery here in DFW that is going to put out a straight triticale. It's a triticale. Blackland has been talking about.
I think I asked that last time.
A straight triticale for a while, and I'd like them to put it out before us
to do some education.
Education, because there will be a on the unbent line. We will have our ASM, our light whiskey, and then a triticale. Will be the three that I'm aware of to round out the 7 that I think is going to make up the unbent line. So
nice.
Triticale's that. Maybe it's how I'll compare it to how Mezcal was maybe 10 years ago. I don't think anybody really maybe knew Mezcal was going to be what it is.
As big as it is, yeah.
Mezcal's on every cocktail menu in Texas.
It's everywhere,
It's everywhere.
It went from being something that I didn't even, I'm sure I literally never paid attention to it. And then I think it was last year I just started noticing, like you said, at different restaurants, and I noticed it on my friends' bars too. Like they was starting to come out a little bit more, and obviously they were they'd either be just super whiskey focused or they'd have tequila, and then all of a sudden you start to see mezcal start to pop up on themselves. And I tried a couple. I don't know if I love it so much, but I had a really weird one that was smoked with different animals.
Oh man, Pachuca! I've got one over on my desk. I was just gonna say, you've got to just start trying the off the wall stuff.
I have.
I love mezcal because if you think about it, tequila is just one type of agave that's available in the plant kingdom. Mezcal encompasses the other several hundred. I don't remember the exact number, but there's a resurgence in Mexico right now for preserving these other species, because Weber's Blue Agave is, it reproduces quickly, which is why it's so profitable for tequila, but it's not very resistant to disease. There's other mezcal or other agave out there that is way more resilient, but it takes longer to grow. Might not put out as much spirit, but again, it's such a different type of flavor as you guys are talking about now. So I think we're about to see a lot of really cool mezcals in the near future, if you ask me. And again, I'm biased on them. I've liked them for a long time. I like that smokiness. And again, pechuga is what you're thinking of. There's people that hang turkey breast, chicken. The one I've got over there right now is
there's a
chicken with
whiskey
mole
that did a
spice.
pechuga.
Yeah, I'm down.
Somebody did a Texas
Throw some
whiskey
brisket.
with it.
Throw some
Does
brisket.
it have like
down.
it has like smoked lizard in it or something like that? Like one of the
Dude,
like,
I'm down.
like,
Oh
it's
man.
so weird. And I remember like before they handed it to me, they asked the room because we were at kind of like a bottle share, and they busted it out, and he goes, "I just want to know, is anybody a vegan here?" And I'm like, "What the fuck
Is anybody allergic to lizard? I know you're gonna say that. Is anybody allergic to iguana? Like,
yeah. How do you guys feel about smoked iguana? And you got to visit allergies to that.
Dude, yes.
That's awesome. Perfect. Well, yeah. Again, thanks, guys. I'm gonna be. And you said ASM. I'm very excited about that. It's been a boom, obviously, with the ratification. And I'm glad to see that distilleries are adding that as something to their lineup because I'm a big single malt fan. Scotch was my first love, so still my love, and I've been really trying to focus on the ASM since it's becoming so popular. And I mean, my first one was Balcones back in the day. It was Mirador, and it was like that blew me away when I was like 2019, something like that. So it's so cool to see where ASM was even then when it was relatively not as common to how common it is now, and people are latching on to it.
And Mirador, for that matter. I feel like I see that like in all corners of the country now.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I know. Like before, it was like distillery only, or it was like only like in the Texas area. Now, like I've seen it up here by me. I'm in the Chicagoland area or close to it, and I see it. I even see it up by me. I'm like, that's crazy. I used to have to hunt for that one. So, I love that.
It's not here. I can tell you that.
I know that for a fact. That when I lived in Colorado, I couldn't find it. I had to order it.
No.
Awesome.
But I'm also in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Colorado. So
yeah.
Fair enough.
Adrian, I think it's about that time to ask a specific question. And I think I'm going to give
my turn.
It's Adrian's turn to run this question.
My turn.
It is, but I do have to set it up. So we've talked a lot about whiskey on this pod. So one thing that we did at the beginning when we took over as host of Bourbon with Friends is we were, thinking about questions for our first interview and things like that. And during the interview, I noticed that Adrian was kind of petting a squirrel. And I didn't say anything at first. I just thought it was weird. And I was just like, maybe it's a stress ball. Maybe it's a stress ball. You never know. People deal with things in different ways.
Squirrel.
But she was eventually the squirrel. I realized it wasn't dead; it was alive.
Oh my god!
Jumped out of it. None of this is true.
What? Oh man!
You had me.
Oh, literally, I was like, I'm so ready for it. Oh,
none of this is true. We actually have we kind of forgotten why we ask a squirrel-themed question at this point. I don't know why we do it, but so every episode I make up a new story, and that was
it's basically to see how extreme we can make it and how funny it is. That one was really funny.
All right, that was good. Yeah, that was damn good. I was expecting a squirrel to be.
It's still
like,
there.
Just be right here.
Come on, Peter.
I was like, yes. Well, this better be good now.
Okay, I hope you're ready. We want you both to answer. So here it's a two-part question. So here we go. How bent would you have to be to have a squirrel work for you? And would the squirrel work in sales or the distillation side?
Well, I mean, I think the squirrel would have to be, you wouldn't have to be very bent. I would do that like right now.
Yeah.
I would get the squirrel if we could recruit them. And I think sales. I feel like he'd be pretty
have to be in
effective.
sales.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think he
It's
would
too
correct.
hot back here.
I think he'd probably eat all the stuff at distillation.
I bring
All the
Titus
grain.
around.
I think he'd
I
probably
bring-
eat all the grain and distillation.
I bring my
That'd be an
dog here
issue.
on the weekends. He would not let that fly. Yeah.
We do have a bunch of chickens out front. We could probably have them chase around the chickens.
Yeah, corral them. It's like a sheepdog with a sheep squirrel.
I could see a squirrel wearing a little like Bendt bandana. Like
I think I could have a sidekick.
I'll see what I
Definitely
can
have
do.
a
I'll see
sidekick.
what I can do.
Yeah.
Think about how quick if you could have a squirrel carry one on their back and just have 30 of them in your car and just launch them all at once to different stores.
It's like,
Yeah.
Here's your sample bottles. Thanks.
that's
Like
wild.
a drone.
Number
It's like
one.
an organic drone.
That would be
Yeah.
that'd be very interesting.
Yeah.
Go.
All
Just
of
trade a bunch of squirrels.
You're tracking them and they go nowhere near any of the stores. They just go into a nearby tree and just sit there.
God.
Hey, if they have sample bottles and they drop them, we call it free advertising.
That would be
Free
good.
advertising.
That would be good. That would be
I'd pick
fucking
up a little whiskey shooter, like check the seal, like it cracked.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for doing that. Again, it's just kind of a question to kind of break up all the other whiskey questions, and we appreciate it. We always get the wildest
Awesome.
answers for some of these. Yeah.
We got Brian.
Oh,
We're still
are we good?
Are you there?
Uh
Hello?
Oh no.
oh.
I'm gonna drink then.
Right? Might as well just throw one back.
All right. Well,
What's up, everybody? It's Martin with Bourbon with Friends. We want to thank our sponsors right now, and that is 10th Mountain Whiskey out of the beautiful state of Colorado. It's the state, and it's somewhere in the middle. Anyways, hopefully you guys are listening to us right now. It's the season of love. It's probably close to Valentine's Day. Are you thinking about buying something for your loved one? Well, guess what? I've got a place you can go. Go to 10thwhiskey.com, and guess what? You can go a little cheaper. You can use BWF15, which is a discount code. You get 15% off, but you don't have to tell the person you're buying it for that you got 15% off, but it's pretty cool that you did. Anyways, you can use BWF15 for a discount. We'd love for you to go check out their products. They have a lot of cool stuff. You can buy whiskey for your person. You can buy them a shirt. You can buy them a hat. There's other things on there that you can buy. They'll love all of it, hopefully. Maybe they may. Hopefully they do. But you can get them in 42 different states through online distribution, as well as 30 states across the country at regular retail distribution. If you have any questions for them, you can go to 10thwhiskey.com. Again, we want to thank 10th Mountain Whiskey for being our sponsor on the Bourbon with Friends podcast. And happy Valentine's Day, all you lovers. But like, so again, from the squirrel side of things, thanks for answering that question. It's always fun to hear people's different answers for that. We've had some wild shit, and yeah, those stories I make up are usually just random and I freestyle them. So, but to get back to nerdy shit, one thing that we kind of alluded to it earlier. We love talking all things equipment when it comes to a distillery, specifically, just kind of if I was to walk into your distillery and do a tour, kind of like what would I see, what equipment would I see, and actually definitely want you guys to highlight your submarine style still, because that's a very unique one. We obviously get a lot of column, get a lot of pot stills, things like that that we talk about with people, but that was a very unique one. So definitely, if you want to talk a little bit about your equipment.
Definitely. I was hoping that we would be able, that the internet would work better and we would be able to move in the back and look at it. But I'll start with the 10 barrel stills. So I kind of mentioned those earlier. They're your standard offset, hybrid pot still. So you've got your boiler, you've got some plates. I call them offset, I should say condenser offset, rather. The column sits right on top of it. The submarine still, thank you, sir. We had to go with a little bit different still concept because of the solar panels that are covering half of the building in production, which is probably why we lost reception back there. I have an excuse why I don't answer my phone all day is because, again, I kind of, when I'm inside, I don't get a bunch of texts and calls till I step outside. And yeah, that was visual proof. So I hope my wife saw that. But yeah, now, yeah, right. See?
We can do that. It's fine.
So sorry. So now we've got the submarine style still, which it wasn't our original design. Well, we first saw it was inspired by some fellas out of, I think, what was it, North Dakota or something like that, who took a 500-gallon propane, like bulk propane storage tank, just those big cylindrical things, and mounted a condenser on top of that and made a moonshine style still out of that. And we're like, okay, so long horizontal boiler. We went to Specific Mechanical, told them the concept. They're like, we've never done anything like this. This is definitely unique. If it doesn't work, it's on you. So we went with it. We added our agitators into it. So it's actually 62 beer barrels, so 2,160 gallons capacity. But we typically, it's fine.
It's at 16.
I'll write it. Oh, yeah. Anyways, I'll write it down.
Thanks.
You're good on the other stuff,
you're right.
percentages. But it is a beast. It's massive. It's got two, I would say, probably 36-inch impellers, agitators inside to keep the mash rotating while we heat it up. We ferment on the grain, so we have to make sure we have good agitation in there. And again, we're able to strip 2,000 gallons of mash in about 12 hours. So when we were running full capacity last summer, and again, that's just full capacity with the boiler we were able to brew 4 times a day. And we have a 30-barrel brew house, so we can produce about 1,000 gallons of mash at a time. So we were able to produce 4,000 gallons of whiskey mash in a day. And like I said, a strip run is about 12 hours. So in 2 shifts, we could strip that whole fermenter. So we trialed it out last year, and we had our highest production year, and we didn't even really produce all year, just because, again, we kind of ran out of space is one of the factors. But we produced, about 1,400 barrels last year, and we've got about 36. No, I guess they just did inventory. We've got about just over 4,000 barrels in storage right now. So where we were earlier is our on-site rick house. It's more like a showroom at this point. But we've got about 3,600 barrels in an off-site rick house about a mile here.
Okay.
And these are full-size, 53-gallon. Our average, I would say, just kind of year-over-year average for the past couple of years is about 25 barrels a week. But like I mentioned, when we really put foot to throttle, I think the most, or foot to floor, I should say, I think the most we got is about 56 barrels in a week. And that was on bourbon. That was on standard bourbon production. So, but yeah, now we need to find a place to put it. We ran into that about 5 years ago and got that offsite rick house, and we're even filling up there. So, we're working with our friends at the city of Louisville to see if they can facilitate anything. And until then, we're kind of measuring the ceilings and seeing where we can fit more.
See how tall it
On
gets.
top of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Leave them in the elements.
Yeah.
The sunlight, UVs.
Do you guys do open air fermentation? Or, when you guys are
So we've got, I guess on that note too, we've got 3 2,000-gallon fermenters that were just made by a local fabricator. So those are, I call them soup cans. It's literally just a cylindrical stainless steel fermenter with a big glycol coil in there. They do the job. But the new fermenters, the 4,000 gallons, were made by Specific Mechanical. So those ones are light years better. We've got a lot of automation in the back, so they work a lot better with our automation too, because they're real vessels and not just a tank with a hole cut in it. But the soup cans, nothing. The soup cans got us to. That's what we're drinking right now. So those fermenters they put in a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Nice. That's cool. Awesome. Yeah, I need to get down to see you guys one of these days. I don't want to be in Texas again, but when I am, I'll come by.
We're the closest distillery to the airport, so
we are. We're only like 15
that is true.
The distillery.
Oh, you guys.
You've got half the tour right here.
Yeah.
We were in the rick house. Now we're in the retail shop. If I turn you around, we're at the bar. So
there you go.
Behind us is the retail shop. Yeah, there's the garage door right behind me. where the
Yeah.
Nice.
patio leads out to.
Oh heck yeah!
So
And
Yeah, it's
closed
about-
on a Monday. How rude.
I miss patios, man. I can't wait. If you guys are in Texas, you guys don't know the woes of
it is-
of the winter up here.
Certainly not. It's like 70 degrees today. It was freaking
it was
beautiful.
no, it was 80. It was over 80 degrees.
I believe
What
it.
is
I
it
was
today?
sweating.
It was
I
hot
wore
today.
pants today. That was a mistake.
It's
Yeah, it was hot
26 right now.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No.
Well, no to
Yeah.
the 80, yes to the 26.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I do
I'll
that
take
one snow day a
26.
year.
yeah. I've seen how you guys drive when it rains, so we don't need snow days
Yeah.
in fucking Texas.
Oh, yeah.
That's very true. Yeah.
3 weeks ago we had it. 3 or 4
Yeah,
weeks
that's
ago.
just
yeah.
wild,
Great.
dude.
Nobody was
Shut
out.
it down.
I
Yeah,
have
they shut
4-wheel
us
drive, so I
down.
was fine.
Yeah, it does get shut down, man. I'll never forget that. Like it snowed one of the years. I think it was maybe like 2011 or something like that when I was there, and we were building snowmen, and my buddy was building a snowman. He's like, he was like grew up in like Orange, Texas. He's like, I've never built a snowman, so he built the whole thing, and I kicked it over 10 seconds later. Just to squash his dreams a little bit, keep
Oh
him
my
grounded.
god.
So, you guys, I think it's that time of the night where Adrian's going to ask one of our favorite questions. And this has always been our favorite question out there because it gives a different experience. Adrian,
How'd I get
I'm not
both
going to
the
go.
questions tonight?
I'm
How'd I
I'm
get
gonna
them
give.
both?
Yeah.
I'm giving them both to you because I know you've
Okay.
been getting back
This is
into
my-
whiskey.
Yeah, this is my ultimate this is my absolute most favorite question. I like to ask people what their favorite whiskey memory is. Like it could be anything. It could be something from when you were younger and being around adults who were involved with whiskey. It could be, I mean, if you have more of if it's a specific spirit, not necessarily whiskey, we'll take that. We just love to hear your memories about good times and people and stuff like that.
God, you go first. You can pick one.
Let's see. I think I'll go. Again, not even so much the whiskey memory, but like kind of what got me into craft beer. I'm from San Diego originally, and craft beer was huge out there. And
Okay.
just what my dad was kind of into it, my uncles, like just kind of seeing how people can take something that's otherwise just like, it's alcohol. You take it, you get fucked up, and kind of the community associated with that. The fact, bourbon with friends, you sit around and have beer with friends and kind of discuss the nuances of it. And it's something more than just like, just again, fucks you up. It does more than just fill space. It's substance to something that people otherwise don't have a lot of substance with. So and on that note, I think kind of the same thing with craft whiskey. Again, like I was saying earlier about Ryan and Natasha, kind of recognizing, hey, maybe there's something to this craft spirits. I really think there is something about craft spirits and sitting around and talking about how, again, we try to keep it local. We try to keep it in a community of people who enjoy it, is what I would say. So again, kind of bringing that same sentiment that craft beer had is kind of what I would answer that for.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Raleigh, you're
How
up.
about you?
I don't know if
No pressure.
mine would be. So I started in wine, so maybe mine would go towards wine.
That's a spirit.
Spirit, all right.
It's
Yeah,
a
so I
spirit
started
in
in
our book.
wine. One of my best, coolest memories was I had a master of wine, which would be the equivalent of like a master distiller, in from Napa when I was selling Constellation Portfolio, and we went to the French Room here in Dallas. It's like the mecca of what Dallas restaurants were at the time, and we were drinking Chateau
Yes.
Margaux and Penfolds Bin 707, and like all these just amazing wines. And just hearing this guy speak about these wines, having that great dinner, and just really, hearing somebody that obviously a master of wine is one of the hardest tests ever to pass. There's only like 60 of them in the entire world. But to hear this guy talk about it and to drink some of the best wines in the world really gives you kind of an appreciation for that. So I think that's a memory that really sticks out to me. I've had a lot of memories around whiskey. My dad is also in the business, long time in the business. So I've tried a lot of different whiskeys, from scotches to Pappies to all kinds of stuff. So a few years ago, we tried the Pappy 15s and 20s, and so those were kind of special to me, being able to try. And not even like Pappy 20. I like to say that Pappy 20 was not great compared to Pappy 15. So but just being able to try stuff like that, especially with my dad, it's fun to try things with family, and again, for people that appreciate whiskey, it's always fun.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
for us,
I even want to add on.
Yeah.
I want to add an additional answer because we kind of gave our beer and wine. I think now is like the whiskey memories, not even to be like tacky, but like our barrels are just old enough now that we get to get out here and do this type of shit. Like this is what it's all about. So
100%.
if you ask me,
That's really good.
Jake had come to me the other day, and we pulled. I think he said he pulled 40, 50 barrels of bourbon.
yeah, like 44.
And he blended them all, and he was like, "Damn, these are really
These are
good."
fucking good.
It's
It's cool that I get to say that more
we're
and more
just
about
now
our own
coming,
spirits.
Texas whiskey's only been doing it for coming up on 17, 18 years legally.
Yeah.
So, we don't have a whole lot to compare to. So
Let's see where we're at in 100 years. I think it'll be
So
interesting.
yeah, it's a cool time to be Texas whiskey.
It is. I'm a fan, and I've been a fan, and not just because I live there, but I was able to visit a lot of places and sort of see it start to happen there. And it was really cool to see some of that. And yeah, I mean, I blame my dad too for why I'm sitting here doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and this is going to be a nice kind of like bring it all around from the beginning. I used to drink whiskey, but I was always just like Jack Daniels, that kind of shit. And then he gave me a bottle of Glengoyne, coming back to the beginning of the conversation. Yep. So, and then that's what kind of sent me down the more like unknown path of whiskey, like where I was trying things that I'd never tried before, and checking out new distilleries and craft distilleries really caught my attention. So yeah, I also blame my dad for drinking alcohol right now. So, and I know you're listening to this,
father.
Yeah, exactly.
For everything.
Yeah, he's gonna hear that. He's gonna hear this too. So I know you're listening to this, old man.
It's actually my dad's birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Yeah, he's in, I think, my living room or something. I'm not really sure which room in my house he's in, but I know there's a bottle of scotch somewhere getting drank.
Yes.
Being drank.
Right. Yeah.
And
right
you have
now.
Is it a Dewar's sign behind you? Does it say Dewar's behind you, Brian?
It sure
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
And you have scotch behind you.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
my last
Weird.
name,
Weird.
Viewers. Never knew that one.
It's me.
Oh man, my smart ass is just coming out today, fucking hard.
Good one.
Sorry.
Okay.
You guys, thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. Trying all these products is absolutely phenomenal. Currently, right now, out of the rye and everything else, I'm really liking this malt more than the rye. So this is probably going to be my favorite out of everything so far. But I know Adrian, myself, and Joe are super happy to have you on. We
Me
can't
too.
say enough. Yeah, well, Joe more than Martin, because
Just the host.
Well, he left me out. He left me out 2 episodes ago, so I feel like I had to leave him out this time. I remember
that's
things.
fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
People don't forget.
Fucking retribution. Huh?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Jesus Christ.
Got him.
No, I love you, Martin.
Thank
Thank you guys so much for joining. And
Honestly, yeah. Thank you guys.
anything we could ever do to help you guys out, please let us know. And everybody out there, remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world, y'all. Thank you, no matter where you're at, day or night. Cheers.
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 I'm liking the rye. I think the rye is my favorite.
Fuck yeah.
Right.
The malt is always my favorite.
That's it for this episode of Bourbon with Friends. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a review to make it easier for others to find the show. You can also check us out on Instagram at BWF Podcast. Thanks for listening.